everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Dawna Stone, and I'm the president of Project Bold Life. I'm here today with Carol Nulman. Carol is a business owner, a passionate philanthropist, a mother, and a cancer survivor. Carol, I am so excited to have you here with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Thank you. So let me talk about this a little bit. You started your career at Xerox, and you were extremely successful there, #1 in the country for sales. We talked about this, but you ended up, your career went from there to Wall Street. How did you ever end up on Wall Street and now have your own wealth management company?
It's quite an interesting story. I graduated college in affirmative action years as Title IX was going on in sports. Affirmative action was hitting corporate America, thank God. And I was recruited to Xerox from Boston University School of Business. And the same thing happened. I was incredibly successful at Xerox here in New York City. And the phone rang one day with Lehman Brothers asking me if I'd be open to another opportunity. Being young and allured of a new opportunity, I went and chatted with them, and the rest is history. It was a hard decision because I really enjoyed the training I received at Xerox. Was unheard of, especially in today's day and age.
Yep.
And I never looked back. I view myself as the luckiest person in the world. I worked extraordinarily hard. Very tough environment. It was all male. I was the first female ever to be recruited from anywhere. So myself and 11 men began our journey on Wall Street.
Oh, wow. So take that back, I guess forward a few years. Now you ended up launching your own company.
That is recent. I did spend many years working at different firms.
So how was it working? We talked a little bit about, you've worked at large firms, you've worked at smaller firms, and then to go from working for a company to deciding to launch your own company. What was that like? And were there, what was, I guess, I want to say scariest part of, people talk about fear, right? When you launch your own thing, was there something that was fearful? Was it all just excitement?
No, I think keeping humble. When you run a good business, fear is something that's your best friend. If you don't worry, something's very wrong. I think if I wasn't worried, it would go to the arrogance and ego, which is inherent on Wall Street. Yes, it was very worrisome, but Hightower, which is the firm, is consistent of 53 partners, and we're all in it together. And it was an opportunity for us to do the right thing for the clients, and most importantly, put the client as #1, which is lost, and the true sense of the fiduciary, which each of us are. But we're mandated by law to put the client's interests first, but all of us, we're not kids, we've been doing this a very long time, and I think we overall agree that Wall Street's lost sight of their client. So this was this was my only choice. It was this or retirement. I could not continue to work for these firms that have lost complete sight of the client.
You wanted to do more.
I wanted to do the right
do it better,
thing,
do it right.
And really, as what you'll find is, as the trust builds of years working with these clients, they want to give you more and more responsibility. We must adapt to that. And that's really the flexibility Hightower afforded me versus any of these firms.
I love that. I like what you said about fear, because I talk to a lot of individuals that are working for large companies and they want to go out and do something on their own, but the fear holds them back. And you were saying fear is your best friend. What advice would you give to, whether it's a man or a woman who right now is working for a big company but really has a great idea and just wants to go out on their own but is scared?
Believe in yourself. I think there's a fine line between being self-confident and arrogant. Every day, and this is where the philanthropy came into my life, humbled. And there's no such thing as success. But I really always, from day one, believed in myself and believed I can do this no matter what. I may have to work harder, I may struggle, I may make lots of mistakes, but if I do the right thing and believe in it, then it'll be successful no matter what. And that's really the motto I've lived by for many years.
I love that. Such good advice. Now, you are passionate about helping women. We've talked about this a little bit. And so, you even mentioned that you think women are underserved. Can you explain that to me?
Unfortunately, Wall Street is male dominated, and I think women, it doesn't matter if they're CEOs or homemakers. Most men speak condescending to women, and they're not included in the initial discussions. The focus is always on the husband, if there is a husband, and then the wife is brought in later. I do the opposite. I want to meet with the women first. I want to make sure they're comfortable. I want to make sure they have a full understanding of the financial as well as the estate plan, because it's really important they're protected. And a lot of people don't have these conversations. One thing I'm very proud about my fellow partners I've been doing this about 38 years. I'm currently working with the most amount of female partners than I ever have seen on Wall Street. So we really focus, we want to give back, and we must be role models. It's really important. How does the next generation ever learn right from wrong, especially in this crazy world we're living in? So it's very important to me.
Well, speaking about crazy world, about 5 years ago, in the midst of a divorce, you actually found out you had cancer. Can you talk to me about how you fought back?
It's, again, you have no choice. I had a business to run. I am blessed to have a team. I have 2 amazing children, which is really the mandate I went with. I had a serious cancer that required 8 rounds of chemo. My mother at the time was having a second cancer. It was just not a good time, and my choice was lay in bed and feel sorry for myself, or show my children that no matter what life deals to you, you have to rise to the occasion. And that was my role model. They were my reason for getting out of bed, and for other women who are professionals, that you don't have to quit. You don't have to give up. You just have the best attitude and also exercise to get out, and whether it's a small walk, get fresh air and move.
I would say you're a role model, hearing that. That's amazing.
Well, a lot of people crumble, and you can't. Especially today, every day science is making such advances that there's no reason to give up, especially if you have children.
Now, you are very passionate about giving back, and does part of that have to do with, fighting back and kind of surviving, stage 4 cancer? Has it been something that you've always done? And
I honestly feel that I'm the luckiest person in the world. I've been had such luck, graduating college, my timing, being recruited. Every job I've had has been recruitment. And I've been brought up in a traditional Jewish family that was very big in tzedakah, which means charity. And I've always given back. I was brought up to give at least 10% of your annual income away. And as I got older and I felt I was the luckiest person in the world, philanthropy became more and more. And as the wealth management business evolved and wealth increased, it became very apparent to me that people who were not familiar with philanthropy needed to be taught. I don't believe people are born to give their money away. I think it's a learned skill. And in some cases it needs to be taught. And as the wealth continued and the millenniums were coming along, it became a mandate of myself and my team to work with the next generation and use philanthropy as a means of conversation. Help them find their passion if they didn't have it, and if they did, help foster it.
So what do you say to somebody, because what we hear most when you talk about giving back is people say, I'm too busy, I don't have the time. What do you say to somebody who's really busy about maybe, I don't know, one or two pieces of advice to get started if they're not already doing it?
Then there's not a busier person than myself. And I find time to sit on lots of boards. Think about touching one person's life. If each of us did X amount of time, you can change. And there's so many grassroots organizations, especially education. Our country is crumbling with our public schools. You can mentor for an hour a month.
Yeah.
You could be a role model. It doesn't
Right.
necessarily take tons of time. It's the quality of time and the influence that you can give. And if you ultimately cannot find an hour a month, write a check.
Right.
I have zero excuse. And today, with this kind of market, highly appreciated stock is an incredible currency in lieu of cash. And it's something I tell people all the time, which most people are not aware of, but it becomes a less painful way to give back.
Right. So throughout our conversation, you said a couple times, you said, I'm very thankful, right? You feel like you've been very lucky, you're very thankful. And you do an act of kindness, a daily act of kindness. What is that? How do you find that one act each day? And how long have you been doing this?
I've done it my whole life. It became more intense when I had children. And I made a deal with somebody that if you always take care of my kids, every day I will do an act of kindness. It might be as simple as getting up on the subway and giving somebody a seat.
Right.
It does not have to be major.
Right.
It can be helping somebody. It really depends on the day and what life throws your way, but there's not a day that I don't try to do something incredibly nice, go visit an elderly person. I mean, it's silly things, but the meaning behind it, to do an act of kindness, especially in a city like New York, just smiling at people.
Right.
It's a great psychological test, is walk down any avenue and smile at people.
Right.
They're freaked because they're just not used to it.
Right.
It's little things.
And
it doesn't have to be major.
Right. I was gonna say, what a better place to live, just in a world in general, if people were doing that every day. Somebody doing it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be big, but just the little acts of kindness would make such a big difference.
Kindness is something we need to get back to, and if people really focused on being nicer and kinder, I think our world would be a little more nicer.
Yes, a little brighter, definitely.
Yes.
So when I look at you, I see somebody who is living a very big, bold life. What does it mean to you to live a bold life? What does bold life mean?
Bold life to me is to be productive and to have enjoyment. I love to travel. I love to see new cultures from both investment reasons, but also to have a full understanding. And it helps with one's tolerance of cultures. I love the arts. So for me to be a leader in any of these areas and be part of it is very, very exciting. I feel like, as I said, the luckiest person, and every day I try to maximize my hours because I just enjoy it.
Right.
And your happiness is really dependent on yourself. Each of us can be miserable, and believe me, I could give you a list of things that I could be miserable about, but I choose not to even think about it. It is what it is. Some of this you cannot change. They're effects of life, but I'm going to make the most of my day and try to add value wherever possible.
So how do you manage it all? I'm listening to you, and you're running a successful business, and you are so busy, and you have a family that you care tremendously about. You care about taking care of yourself, about giving back. How do you manage it all?
Being incredibly organized and also knowing how to use your resources.
Right.
Using your resources is critical.
Yeah.
You have to. And today it's so much easier than it was 20 years ago when your resources were far more limited.
Right.
But today it's just incredible. But women, I think, overall are very good at being organized. You have no choice.
Right.
You know, if you're a mom, you're wearing so many hats, you don't have time to think about it.
Right.
You just do what you need to do. And every day I know what I have to accomplish, both professionally and in my nonprofits and personal. And it's just a question, I want to do it all. I find the time to do it.
I love that. So you just find the time to do it all. I love it.
You really do. You know, I'm not one to sit around and do nothing, but that's me. I find it's boring. I like to be on the go.
Right.
So, you know, you have to be true to yourself. And it goes back to believing in yourself and knowing yourself.
Right. That sounds like the number one piece of advice, just believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, I know how busy you are, so I am so thankful that you came here today to sit with me and give such great advice to our viewers. Carol, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Enjoy. Thank you.